This is Rapid Fire Childhood Trauma Part 6. If you're looking for the other parts, they are posted to the comment section of the index video I pinned to my profile page, so go there. This is going to be the last one on childhood trauma, I hope. There were other tragedies, but those stories need more development. They don't belong in this series. If you suffered with me through the other 5 videos, then thank you sincerely for allowing me to lay the groundwork to talk about the paranormal stuff and my DCP experience. Before we get started, if childhood trauma is a theme that makes you feel sad, then I encourage you to watch something else. Although I will point out that this particular story does have a happy ending. If you are a child watching these and they sound too familiar, please understand that you have nothing to be ashamed of. There is nothing wrong with you. There is a lot wrong with people who hurt kids. It's not you, it's them. It is your right to determine for yourself who you are and who you want to be. But if you feel like your life is in danger, get out and get help. This next story doesn't really involve physical abuse so much. For me, going through it was no big deal. In fact, it felt like a hard-won victory. However, when I tell this story to people, they always look pretty shocked by the end of it. But for me, it was a happy ending. So I was 16 and I was in the kitchen looking for a drink from the refrigerator. It was late afternoon. Our kitchen at this house was open to the den. In the den, Gail was sitting in his recliner smoking a cigarette and drinking a Jack and Coke. He and I had been ignoring each other for weeks at this point. This was a peace I had fought for and won. Yet sitting in his chair, he embodied a heavy, oppressive presence. If darkness had a scent, you'd have been able to smell him. Then, out of the blue, he looks at me and says, "Get out." I was like, "Yeah, I'll be out in a second, just getting a drink." Then in a louder voice, he said, "Get out. I mean, leave. Get your shit and leave my house. I don't want to see you around here anymore, and you better not come back. Not for your mom, not for your sister. Get out." So I was being cast out. But he had instructed me to, 1, get my shit, and 2, leave. So I went upstairs to my room to do just that. Opening my closet, I realized I didn't have anything to put my, quote, shit into so that I could take it with me out of the house forever. Thus, it seemed reasonable to me to go back downstairs where there were bags that I could put stuff into. As I was exiting my room, I saw my mom was standing on the other side of the hallway. Between us was a landing for the stairs, and Gail was at the top of it. Let me tell you, for a short, old, fat, and perpetually drunk man with a heart condition, he could move with incredible speed and agility. This bloke was fast. I was no match for him. Before I knew it, he was at my door and he had pushed me violently back into my room. And then as I fell on my ass, he yelled, "Stay in your room." When my mom saw this, she freaked the F out. Screaming, she said, "Don't you put your hands on my daughter!" Finally, for the first time in my life, she had my back, but it was too late to feel anything about it. I had long since abandoned any care for her caringness. Before I knew it, they were wrestling with each other at the top of the stairs. I stepped over them, ran down the stairs and out the door. I ran to the neighbor's house where I called the police. The cops came as dusk was falling. The officers were nice and comforting. One of them stayed with me outside and we talked for a long time while the others were sorting out the situation inside the house. I didn't tell him everything about my life, like the stuff I told you about in the other videos. But he told me he could tell that I was an extraordinarily bright girl. I reminded him of his daughter. Just as night was falling, the garage door opened and I saw Gail loading up the back of my mom's car with his stuff. And then he left. I never had to deal with him again. It was like an exorcism. Once he was gone, my mom and sister started taking all of his bottles of alcohol and pouring them into the sink. Thousands of dollars worth of booze fed the drain that night. We were all happy that that evil spirit was gone. The end. See, I told you this story had a happy ending.